My name is Patrick Ramsey. I'm the CEO of Multimedia Games, and Multimedia Games has been around, believe it or not, almost 20 years, been a public company, I think 15 years. And we started really as an innovator in tribal gaming and tribal gaming technologies, and had a great run in early 2000s up until sort of 2003 and 2004, at which time some of those markets changed. The focus of the company started to change a bit, and it went through a bit of a downturn. In 2008, Anthony Sanfilippo came on as the CEO and brought me on as the COO, and we began a turnaround. And it's been about 5 years in the making, and we've seen great success, sort of, focusing our R&D dollars on our game development, getting access to new markets, and growing and getting ourselves on the radar. My leadership style, I would say I'm very open, and I love engaging with sort of all levels of employees. I think a lot of leaders say they have an open door policy. Mine's truly open door. I love when people come into my office, and I have people coming in at all different levels throughout the organization who feel very comfortable, and I think that's the way to learn the best about your business and to get the best amount of feedback. And we're a pretty casual company. That's probably reflective of my own style as well. We don't take ourselves too seriously. After all, we make fun slot machines, and we want people to have fun. And so I think that needs to be reflected in the company culture as well. I live by the golden rule. I treat people the way I want to be treated, and I'm just not into titles and levels and a hierarchical system. I truly think there are so many people who have made this company great years ago and now over the last 5 years, and it's not about me, it's not about any individual executive, it's about everybody together as a team, and that's my philosophy. Yeah, I would say, we're more of a .com company culturally, but we have our restrictions, and like you mentioned, there are challenges. There are challenges industry-wide. I think at the end of the day, we have to build a slot machine, and there are very strict technical requirements and regulations we have to follow, and that makes it pretty restrictive. We come up with some great ideas in Austin, Texas about ways to get a younger generation in the 20s and 30s more interested in a slot machine, but we often run into problems and technical hurdles. And one example, though, where we've overcome that, and it's in a fairly simple way, and it's been one of the greatest innovations really over the past several years, is our turn event product. If you think about that, I don't like to say this because if I say it, customers won't buy it, but I do believe it's one of the most successful deployments of server-based gaming there is. There's a server, and there's 15 machines connected to it, and within 45 seconds it goes out of revenue and people play a tournament. They love that competition, they love that communal feel, and that's dipping the toe into the water when it comes to innovation, when you compare the gaming industry to other industries. So the other point, though, is at the end of the day, you have to give the consumer what they want. And my mother, as a avid slot player in Northeast Ohio, she wants to hit a $500 or $1,000 jackpot. She wants some simplicity. She wants some good payback. She wants to understand how to get that $1,000 and have a good 3 or 4 hours of gambling. And that's what a lot of consumers want in this industry. So there's a balance with innovation as well, and I think we have to keep in mind the end customer and what they want. Using the turn event platform as an example, right? Imagine connecting, instead of 15 people in a local casino and having them bang a button to get the highest score, imagine connecting 15 people times 100 across the country in something that's a little bit more skill-based. Or, and people feel like, poker has become, quite a sport, let's call it, over the past 10 or 12 years. It's because they think they're smarter, they think they're better, they want to compete. And so to add that element into something like tournament and make it nationwide, make it mobile, that's very, very interesting. And it's a direction that this industry and we all need to move. Well, we're coming off of a 20 or 30-year run in this industry that's been, for about 25 years, it was just unabated growth. You put up a casino and they would come, right? And we got used to that. And I would say over the last 5 to 10 years, it's gotten tougher, right? Supply and demand have met, and it's gotten tougher. Yet some of our regulations are so restrictive on what we make, and they could be in the past, but now I think it involves operators, it involves manufacturers, and it involves regulators getting together in a room and starting to say, yeah, this is an important industry that employs over 300,000 people. How do we keep this thriving and growing in the future? And really taking a hard look at some of the products and some of the things we put out to say, how do we attract that next generation? I like reading things outside of the industry, right? And I think that's always important to learn, to gather some things outside of what's going on in gaming and try to apply them within gaming. I happen to be the father of an 8-year-old and a 5-year-old, so believe it or not, to watch them on an iPad and to have their friends over play these games, you start to see, and I start to say, what is it you like about that? And they'll download apps and hey, Dad, I just have $2 to get this level. You start to get into the mind of they're only 8 and 5, but they're a bit young, but it starts to help get into a mind of, they're growing up in a very different world than in which we grew up. And you have to stay connected to that and see how this change. I mean, it's amazing to think how the iPhone has changed the world. And you just got to be connected and stay connected and be well read and try and stay ahead of trends. Well, like I mentioned, the growth trajectory for the industry is a bit different. So I understand why these consolidations take place. There's value to be created, in a consolidation like that. So I see that, and I think they could, by having a larger pool of R&D dollars, you could take some risks and try some other things. And that's one of the challenges for our company, where I have a smaller pool, much smaller than some of our larger competitors. I need to have more of a rifle, not a shotgun. And so we pick and choose what we invest in. We're very cautious about online gaming, just because I want to learn a little bit and I want to establish some relationships, but I can't put a lot of money towards that. And I think some of the companies with larger R&D budgets, and as they pull together, they have that. They can take more of a risk. We're focused on the land-based market now, and we'll remain focused there while we see what happens. So it just has to be a different approach for us.